The safe house was falling apart, but something inside it was still alive. An oil lamp flickered like it was struggling to breathe. A cracked mirror leaned against the wall, warping my reflection. Blood-stained map covered the table, maps of places that didn't exist anymore. I stood there shirtless, hunched over, the symbol on my chest glowing faintly beneath bruised skin. It didn't burn. It pulsed, like it had a heartbeat of its own, like it remembered something I didn't. I noticed something else. My wounds didn't bleed like they used to. The blood was thicker now, darker, slower, and worse. My reflection wasn't keeping up anymore. It moved wrong, a second behind, breathing differently than I did, watching me even when I wasn't looking. They told me my memories were classified, that I'd been reborn in fire. But some ghosts don't wait to be remembered. They claw their way back. I reached into the satchel I'd found on the floor. The leather was soaked in something that smelled like rust and rot. Inside, another file. Project Erebus, Final Phase, Neurospiritual Transference, and handwritten beneath it, like someone had scrawled it mid-collapse. You are not Elias Voss. You are the echo he left behind. My skin went cold. I didn't know if I was reading someone else's fate, or mine. Something cracked inside me. A memory, or maybe an infection. It spread fast. Behind my eyes, in my teeth, in my ribs. I saw a lab, red-lit, buried deep under steel and concrete, sealed with passwords and ancient symbols. The real me, or what they called the real me, floated inside a sensory tank. Skin pale, body still. Wires coiled around my limbs. Liquid thick as oil filled my mouth and lungs. Machines pulsed, lights blinked, and around me, they watched. Men in metals, suits that stank of old wars. But among them stood something else. A man in robes, silver-rimmed glasses, lips moving without sound. He stood over a skull submerged beside me and whispered, "The flesh remembers, the soul clings. All we need is a wound big enough for it to crawl through." The liquid around me boiled. My body convulsed. Screams escaped my throat. Too loud, too real. The tank shattered. The world tore. I felt myself ripped out and forced back in. And then I opened my eyes. Back in the safe house, panting, soaked in sweat. The mirror in front of me was rippling. My reflection blinked, then moved. Without me. At first, I thought I was imagining it. A trick of the light, a glitch in my vision. But it wasn't. The mirror version of me was watching, hungry, patient. It blinked, then raised a hand, and slowly, with precise fingers, it began peeling off its own face. Skin separated from skin like paper soaked in water. Beneath it, a bone-white mask stitched with human flesh. The eyes behind it burned black, like they'd swallowed fire and never put it out. It raised one hand, pressed its palm to the glass. I couldn't breathe. And then, the whisper came, not in my ear, not from the walls, from the reflection, from inside my own skull. "Let me in." The glass cracked, blood seeped from it, like the mirror had veins. I stumbled back, my knees hitting the floor, and I ran, out the door, into the cold air. But the cold didn't help, because when I looked up, the sky looked back. The world hadn't changed. It had just finally shown me its face. The streets were dead, but they still spoke. Ash fell like gray snow, covering tanks and bodies alike. Burned-out husks of buildings leaned like tired bones. Flags hung from power lines, once symbols of nations, now used as nooses. I walked past corpses swaying in the wind, their boots tapping faint rhythms on metal poles. Some of them twitched, some of them hummed. I don't know how long I walked before I saw her. A woman sitting in the middle of a collapsed intersection, pistol in her mouth. Her hands trembled. Her uniform was in shreds, the insignia long scorched off. One of her eyes was gone, just scarred flesh and grit. She looked up when she saw me, and paused, then lowered the gun. "You're the one they made," she said. "The man from the mirror, the phantom saint." She stood slowly, as if unsure if I was real. "You're not supposed to be awake. What happened?" I asked. She didn't answer at first, just stared at me like I was something she'd only heard about in war stories. Something you pray you never see. "They used to burn the bodies," she said. "The ones who woke up screaming. Said their souls didn't come back right. Said something else came with them. She told me her name was Anya. She used to be a nurse. She'd seen men broken, torn in half, put back together wrong. And now she was helping me, even though every instinct in her body told her I was something she should run from. She led me underground, beneath an old Orthodox church. It had been repurposed, converted into a black site, a temple built on secrets. Symbols were carved into every stone wall, some in Latin, others in Sumerian, but some were older than language, etched into the very foundation of the bunker. An altar stood at the center, covered in photographs of dead soldiers. All of them had their eyes scratched out. She pulled out a rusted laptop and played a video. The footage was degraded, flickering, but the figure in it was unmistakable. It was me, but not. My face, yes. My body, but the way it moved was wrong, like it was being puppeted from the inside out. Limbs twisted unnaturally, shadows lashed outward from my back like tentacles. Civilians were torn apart, silently. Their mouths were gone, but their eyes screamed. "This was 3 weeks ago," she said. "But I died 2 months ago," I told her. "That's not your memory," Anya whispered. "It's your shadows." The candles around us went dark, one by one, snuffed out like breaths. Cold seeped in from the walls. And then came the sound, scraping, clicking, something moving across the ceiling above us. Something with too many limbs and not enough shape. "It found you," Anya said. She didn't panic. She moved with purpose, like she'd trained for this moment. We descended deeper into the catacombs beneath the church. The air was thick with dust, iron, and incense gone rancid. Every step made the pain in my head worse, like something inside me was being pulled closer to something below. I began to convulse, not from fear, from memory, but they weren't by might. I saw my own hands tear through a man's chest and pull out a still beating heart. I saw an army of faceless soldiers kneeling in silence before a weapon made of bone. I heard a voice, not a human one, a machine choking on blood. He sold the world for silence. We entered a chamber. The walls were made of mirrors. Every reflection was a different version of me, crucified, crowned, burned, laughing, screaming. "This is where they bound the god to your flesh," Anya whispered. "What god?" I asked. The answer came from behind me, It stepped from the mirror like water flowing in reverse. Another me, Mirror Voss. But this one was all wrong. His mouth had been sewn shut, but now it hung open, torn wide like something had forced its way out. His eyes were voids, black stars, collapsing in on themselves. And though he didn't speak, I could hear him inside my skull. You bled for peace, but peace is a lie. War is the prayer, and I am the answer. He lunged, mirrors shattered, glass flew, walls screamed. Anya fired 3 rounds, clean, practiced, but they bent in the air, twisted like ribbon and dropped. He grabbed my wrist, slammed a shard of mirror into my palm. I didn't bleed. I remembered. A circle of generals, faces wrapped in black cloth, chanting in a language older than war. I was strapped to a black pyramid, my body flayed open, veins pulled taut. Let him be the wound, they chanted. Let him be the gate. I screamed, but not just from pain, from knowing. Anya pulled me out. Mirror Voss howled behind us, voices upon voices. We made it out. The church burned. The sky didn't brighten. I looked down at a puddle. My eyes were bleeding. Anya said, "You're not the soldier. You're what was left when they carved the war out of him." And I whispered, "The blood remembers. The mirror breaks. And what walks through it is never whole again."